Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Premier Injuries Daily Roundup. We're speaking ahead of game week 3, and I'm going to do a recap of today's press conference. Of course, part 1 went live yesterday, and that covered 5 of the press conferences ahead of round 3. So, of course, that means we have 15 remaining today. So, with a lot to get through, let's get cracking. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, he confirmed that the squad had a clean bill of health. However, I'm uncertain as to whether Reece Nelson was included in that roundup, but it obviously means that Fabio Vieira, who's recovered from a foot problem, played for the under-21s on Wednesday, and also Emile Smith-Rowe, who was building fitness with the under-21s, are all in contention. They join the recently returned Takahiro Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney in that Arsenal squad, but they could be unchanged from going back-to-back opening wins down on the south coast. Next up, Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard confirms that Diego Carlos has successfully undergone Achilles surgery. Of course, he ruptured that down at Everton last weekend. Now, Steven Gerrard is confident that he will return this season to play a big part in the remainder of the campaign. Now, what we do know, typical return to play is around about 6 to 7 months. Return to performance is something slightly different. When pressed about the possibility of bringing in a replacement, another centre-back, Steven Gerrard said that Courtney House has actually returned to full training as well. So he will be in contention for a return to that matchday squad, although he has been sidelined for several months. Other bits of news in around that Villa camp, Matty Cash, that was a fatigue-related withdrawal last weekend, so he's absolutely fine. He referenced the fact that it was so hot. In fact, the hottest temperature that he's ever played in. That's why his body cramped up and he was off. And also Philip Coutinho, that was a minor knock. However, Steven Gerrard sort of hinted that Emi Buendia could get a start, and I would suspect it might be at the expense of the Brazilian, who hasn't been really pulling up any trees this season in the opening 2 games. For Brentford, of course, 4-0 winners last time out. I don't see Thomas Frank making any changes to that team. Christoph Ayer and Sergio Canos, they're both hamstring-related problems, still around about a week or 2 away. And also Ethan Perk, knee problem. That's going to be a lengthy spell on the sidelines. New signing Damgard, he's likely to remain on the bench. Nice and easy from the AMX with Graham Potter. Basically expecting to have the same squad as what he did last weekend against Newcastle. New signings may come in. Neil Mopai, he has been touted with a move away from the club. Graham Potter said, the player hasn't been forcing it, and certainly the club aren't keen on pushing him out the door. So the chances are he will be returned and named in that matchday squad of the weekend. But like I say, I expect the Seagulls to be unchanged. Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea, we've heard. N'Golo Kante, hamstring problem against Tottenham last weekend. Referenced at the time as being fairly serious, and scan results have confirmed that. We're looking at several weeks on the sidelines. We have covered this on a video earlier in the week, so please check that out with Jason and Raj from 3CB Performance. We discussed that at the time, and we said it looked, through mechanism, through the video footage, maybe around about a 4 to 6 week period on the sidelines. Now, potentially that could open the door for Conor Gallagher to establish himself in the team, particularly while Mateo Kovacic remains on the sidelines. Amanda Broja is also out of the league's game, but that's a fairly short-term option. And we're going to have a late fitness test on Christian Pulisic. He's picked up an Achilles issue. Didn't train earlier on the week, but he certainly did on Friday, so that puts him in contention. No fresh injury concerns for Patrick Vieira and Crystal Palace. Of course, they drew 1s each with Liverpool on Monday night. We know Nathan Ferguson, James McArthur and James Tompkins are definitely out. Those were referenced by the Eagles boss. So there's no mention of Jack Butland, but we know that's a fractured metacarpal or a bone in his hand from pre-season game against Manchester United, and his potential return to play isn't due until next month. So that's one that we're expecting those 4 players to remain out. Michael Olise returned from the bench against Liverpool. He could be in line for more minutes. For Everton, the Toffees, Frank Lampard said that Abdul Doucouré, again, another hamstring problem. He was forced off. He's likely to be around about 3 weeks from this date here. So that's around about a month out in total. That's an indication that we're probably looking at maybe a grade 2 tear with that one. Certainly a little bit more severe than that grade 1, which we would expect maybe a 7 to 21 day turnaround. So not looking great there. A lot of talk about who could potentially come in. We've seen Tom Davies off the bench last weekend. Onana is the new signing who everybody wants in, but Frank Lampard said he hasn't had much of a pre-season. He's going to leave any decision until the very last moment, but he doesn't want to risk him and force him in there. He says, look, the Premier League comes with its unique set of characteristics, and he's got to think about the long-term picture as well, not just the here and now. Of course, we know Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Yerry Mina, Alan has been past fit, so he will be added to the matchday squad. But again, he's a player that did miss a lot of pre-season, didn't get many minutes, so he is working his way back up to full fitness. For Fulham, Marco Silva, again, expected to have a similar squad to last weekend, that 0-0 draw. Andres Pereira and Bobby Di Cotiva-Reid were forced off late in that game. Both precautionary measures, just minor issues, so there's nothing to worry about with regards to that. Jess Marsh, Leeds United, a couple of issues here. Patrick Bamford, groin, and also Liam Cooper, Achilles, they're being assessed on a day-to-day basis. Now, both players here, I think Liam Cooper is the biggest question mark. He was injured during the off-season on a treadmill, so he's had no pre-season at all. Suffered a little bit of a setback on the eve of game week 2, so that puts major doubts over him. And also Patrick Bamford, well-documented injury problems last season. He had a groin issue. Now, again, it's nothing major. He has come out on a podcast this weekend. Patrick said the likelihood is that he's going to miss this game against Chelsea, but Jess Marsh come out and he said, we will give him every opportunity to prove himself. For me, I think Rodrigo leads the Leeds line. And Daniel James comes in with Harrison probably sitting in behind Rodrigo. Updates elsewhere. Junior Firpo and Luke Ayling, both back out on the training pitches, but probably around 7 to 14 days away from a return. We know Stuart Dallas unlikely to play again this year. Joe Gelhardt, fit and available, picked up a dead leg. He's absolutely fine. A quick update from Leicester. This is breaking from Friday afternoon. The club, Brendan Rodgers, has made the decision not to include Wesley Fofana in the Foxes squad this weekend. There had been some suggestion that it was Wesley Fofana that made that decision. It wasn't. It was Brendan Rodgers that's turned around and said to the Frenchman, we don't want you in the squad. We don't think he's focused mentally in his mind on the game. Of course, he's been heavily linked with a move to Chelsea. Apparently, if rumours are to be believed, personal terms have been agreed, but Chelsea are yet to submit a third bid for the centre-back, so watch this space. Liverpool, we heard from Jurgen Klopp early doors. Roberto Firmino was pictured back on the training pitches on Thursday, so he's fit and available after missing the the draw with Crystal Palace. We know that Nunes will be missing. He's serving a 3-match ban for his altercation or coming together with Joachim Anderson. Elsewhere in that Liverpool camp, a little bit too soon for Diego Jota and also Curtis Jones, but those two aren't far away. Elsewhere, maybe Joel Matip. After that, the rest are pretty much long-term, certainly nothing imminent. Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, Cole Palmer and Calvin Phillips, they've been both past fit and available. Aymeric Laporte is the only confirmed absentee, although Pep did reference that he has some minor knocks and niggles in the squad, but failed to name individuals. Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag, he can welcome back Anthony Martial into the United squad. Of course, he picked up that hamstring-related problem. I think it was against Atletico in their final pre-season game in Oslo, if I remembered that right. Now, obviously, the concern is he hasn't had much training, so he will lack a little bit of match sharpness. But of course, after that result against Brentford last weekend, we would expect wholesale changes. Ten Hag did reference the fact that he wasn't happy with the attitude of his players that day out, so I would expect a boatload of changes within that starting 11. Now, Eddie Howe, they will look to be continuing their unbeaten start to the campaign. We've had a win and a goalless draw at Brighton last weekend. It's going to be a big task, a big ask to get anything from City, but we'll hopefully do that with Matt Targett. He's had a hamstring-related issue. He'll face a late fitness test. However, my own personal thinking is, even if he is past fit, we'll see Dan Burn at left back with Sven Botman sitting centrally alongside Fabian Shaw. Others close, Ryan Fraser, a back spasm who missed out in game week 2. He could be available for Newcastle. Emil Kraft, Jamal Lewis, and also Federico Fernandez. A little bit too soon, but none of those players are too far away, so maybe before the end of this month. We've covered Forest, Southampton and Tottenham. West Ham, they played in the Europa Conference League on Thursday night. They welcomed back Angelo Ogbonna a little bit sooner than expected. David Moyes said the problems at centre-back, we've decided to throw him in and get that bit of match practice, that bit of fitness. Came through that unscathed. Craig Dawson isn't too far away, so that's pretty much the West Ham squad. We know that new signing Agard, he's out for a little while after undergoing surgery on his ankle. And finally, Wolves and Bruno Lage. Bruno Lage talked about there's 3 parts of the squad that are working. He's got the players who are fully fit and have trained throughout. He's got a second group, which includes the like of Raul Jimenez, Jean Moutinho, Adama Traore, and also Nelson Semedo. Those 4 players are getting back up to speed after missing parts of pre-season because of injury. And then he also referenced a third group, a couple of players in Mateus Nunes and Gonçalo Guedes, 2 new signings, not necessarily just about fitness, but to try and instill and understand those footballing philosophies out on the pitch. I was hopeful that maybe Guedes could get a start for Wolves this weekend, but after hearing that, I think that he may be on the bench. I was going to bring him in with a little slight reshuffle, with Gibbs White obviously transferring to Nottingham Forest this weekend. So I'll sit down and plan those. But of course, if you have any questions, pop them on social media or pop them in the box below. If you need any further updates, you can always check out at Ben Dinnery or at Premier Injuries. And of course, the injury table is always there at premierinjuries.com. Have a great weekend. Good luck at Game Week 3, and we'll see you all again very soon.